Would I be the a-hole if I declined my friend's wedding invitation after how their fiance started acting with me? That's right, we've got some wedding drama. Can't believe how much wedding drama is out there on the internet. My 32 male friend Jessie, 34 female, is getting married next year over the summer to her fiance James, 38 male. Jessie and I met back in 2018 at a previous job and became friends rather quickly. We remained coworkers until the pandemic in 2020, where we both found other jobs and we kept our friendship going. Fast forward to last year, 2024, we started working together again at a construction company, which is where she met her fiance, James. My friend and I work in the company office while James is in the field, but will occasionally peep into the office where we work to chat with Jessie. Her and I share the office. Slowly but surely, James started to chat with me, realizing we have a very similar dark sense of humor, and we hit it off. The three of us got close. James would chat with us in the office multiple days a week. We would all go out to eat. They met my boyfriend, I forgot to mention I'm gay, oops, LOL, at one of these dinners. They even would ask my opinion on wedding details. Anyways, all that to say, I thought I had made another friend in my friend's fiance. Independence Day weekend was approaching, and Jessie/James were going to Texas for vacation. We are in SoCal. While talking about vacation, James says to Jessie, "You're taking your work phone, right?" And before Jessie could answer, I responded, "No, she's on vacation. Why would she do that?" It got awkwardly quiet in the office. I look up from my work to see the two of them whispering to each other, and Jessie says, "Yeah, I'll check it once a day." For context, when Jessie and I met at our previous employer, we could not, for any reason, ignore work calls. Didn't matter if we were done for the day, having a day off, or even on paid time off vacation days, we would still get a, "Hey, I know you're on vacation, but," type of calls. So now, having a job where we don't need to answer calls once we are off, his question made me defensively answer. Jessie and I will jokingly scold each other for using our work phones on our lunches or after hours, and James knows this, so his question was odd to me. To rebuttal Jessie saying she'll check it once a day, I jokingly scolded her saying, "Friend, you're on vacation, relax, why would you?" Before I could finish, James, in a very stern and serious tone, goes, "She's taking her phone and working if it's needed." I recoiled in shock and went back to my work, essentially ending the conversation, and they continued to talk amongst themselves. The weekend came and went, I got over it, and I thought the same of the two of them. Monday, after the weekend rolls around and Jessie is telling me about her weekend and how she, surprisingly, didn't get any work calls, I told her, "Well, yeah, it was America's birthday, who cares about work on that day?" in a very joking tone. We laughed and all was good, or so I thought. I started to notice that when James would come into the office, he would come in and act like my office chair was empty. I would ask him questions and I would be met with silence. When I would look at Jessie to see what the deal was, she would fill the silence with the same question I asked, but he would respond. I first just summed it up to him having bad work days until I finally asked my friend what the deal was, and she said, "Oh, I think he just didn't like how sassy you got with me about taking my work phone on vacation." Sassy? I needed a deeper explanation, and I got, quote, "Well, you're the first gay person James got to meet that wasn't stereotypical, and I think you being sassy made him see a side of you he wasn't ready for." But then followed up with, "I'm sorry, I'm putting my foot in my mouth with this explanation." I was flabbergasted. My humor is very dark and my wit is quick. I will admit that, however, when James and I chat, I have said worse things with more sass, and he reciprocated, so I didn't think that Jessie's response was genuine. All that to say, it has been almost a month. James has not changed his attitude towards me at all, other than just saying my name when he walks in, and is now making me feel unwelcome in my own office as Jessie's demeanor shifts with me while he is there. I can't believe that you thought that was sassy. Oh my God, well, James would absolutely hate this channel. James and I would never be friends.
You can't sit with us!
I don't want to claim homophobia because I don't think that's what's happening, but I honestly don't know at this point because asking him if he's okay, it's still met with silence. I feel it's putting a strain on my friendship with Jessie as she wants to resolve whatever this is, and James just won't budge and come out with the real reason for his upset. It's making me not want to RSVP to the wedding when invites go out. Hell, I have even been considering telling Jessie to not even include myself or my boyfriend to their list to begin with. Thank you in advance for your response. Would I be the a-hole? That's crazy. It just feels like such a minuscule issue to be having. Like, what even is the issue? If you thought like my tone was rude or something, just come talk to me about it. We have an update over 3 months later. So let's find out what happened and maybe if he declined the wedding invitation. All right, the next update is over 3 months later. For a few weeks, ending of July to mid-August, Jessie really seemed to want to advocate for me and try to get James to tell us, or at least her, why he's so upset with me, but that never happened. Then one day, Jessie just stopped bringing it up, and when I would ask, she would say, I told you already, you were just sassy with him. Okay, great. Got the hint, time to drop it. And from that day forward, James would come in and just greet me by saying, hi, plainly, and that was all. Suspicious? I think so. Anyways, August came and went. September rolled around, and so did Jessie's birthday. We celebrated at work with the office, and over the weekend, James had a party for her. One that I was not invited to, but saw on social media. When we came back to work, I didn't say anything to her about the party. I pretended I didn't know or care, and to be honest, I really don't care. I go back and remember what many people have said about him trying to control her and trying to get her to only really care about his opinion, and I can see it slowly happening under the guise of, quote, becoming the wife he deserves. Vomit. End of September comes and she's venting something to me about how James is very cold towards people and how she's not like that. Her support system needs to be a village and he is just hers, and that's fine for him. I saw this as an opportunity to say, since you brought it up, James doesn't have to say hi to me when he comes in. I know he only does it for you. I got a stare from her, and then she goes, James says hi to you to be courteous. And I replied, I don't need the courtesy when it wasn't that way not long ago. I probably shouldn't have said that, but oh well. I felt that way. I pretended to play dumb and I asked, what is he even upset with me for? I already forgot. And again, she goes, you were just really sassy and he didn't like it. I am used to it and I know you are not being mean. You are just expressive. I said, okay, and I dropped the convo. And every single time I would ask, the word sassy was brought up. Come hang out with me. So for those who were here from my OG post, in my opinion, James is a homophobe after all. I go back and I think of the comments she made to me before about not being a stereotypical sassy gay man, and to me, sassy means too much or flamboyant in his brain. So her constantly saying I'm too sassy is just code for too gay. Sure, I can talk about sports and politics, but that's because I'm interested in those things, not because I'm more masculine or more of a man than my fellow, more femme presenting gay community. Tomorrow is Halloween, and after all this time, I still love my friend for who she is because I see glimpses of her whenever we chat, and I can feel our laughs synchronize. However, I will not be going to her wedding, but I have no intentions of telling her until the invites go out. I am iffy about this, but it's most likely the choice. We're gonna find out though, because we do have a final update. This update came very recently. 9 months later, we are now at July 15th, 2026. Did he go to the wedding? My guess is no. I don't think it progressed with James in a positive way, so I'm gonna guess no. So, me and Jessie, drum roll please, are not friends. Go figure. Their wedding was in June of this year, 2026, but the story has to go back to around March or April. The office between Jessie and I stayed tense some days, really depending on how James acted when he came in to see her. Every now and then, Jessie would ask me about the wedding and I would give small input, just things that would make the guest experience better. She would occasionally ask if my boyfriend and I would still be going to the wedding, and every single time I would decline. It doesn't feel right for me to be there supporting supporting a man who would not and openly admitted to not supporting me, that would be met with something along the lines of, okay, but do it for me, in multiple iterations of the phrase. I flipped it on her. Okay, if and when I get married, will you attend my gay wedding? And her answer was no, because, quote, James wouldn't go and I wouldn't want to go alone. Boom. I thought that was enough to get her to understand, but Bridezilla's brain does not compute. She just couldn't get over the fact that me, her friend, could not put his beliefs aside for her. Beliefs? Babe, I'm gay. This isn't a belief, this is my life. This is who I love, this is how it will stay. These types of conversations happened periodically, leading all the way up to the end of April when I left the company and I found a better job. It had nothing to do with this fiasco, the money was just better, and it is a 7-minute drive from my place. When I told her I was leaving, she asked if it had to do with James and her wedding. Vapid question, but okay. No, it just works out in my favor to choose this opportunity. She then followed up with, this means you can come to my wedding, right? Girl, what? No, I am not going to your wedding. Please remove me from your list. May comes and I'm at my new job and I'm trying to see Jessie for a lunch or something, but she always has to reschedule. And I start to feel like she was pulling away instead of trying to extend an olive branch, and I just let it happen. June comes and it's the weekend of the wedding. Post starts coming in on social media and I see all the stories, like all of the posts because I'm genuinely happy for her, but I never sent a congratulations text or anything. I probably should have, and that is on me, but I didn't. Monday rolls around and my heart feels bad, so I decided to text Jessie and I asked to set up a lunch so I can congratulate her for her wedding and we can catch up. I even thought about buying some flowers. I go back and check. My iMessage doesn't go through and the text bubble is green. Oh, she blocked you. Okay, this is interesting. Let me look at social media. I have been blocked. Her family members who I followed also blocked me. She made sure that happened. So that's how I found out I had lost a friend. After rereading my posts and what people were commenting, it all makes sense that she never really cared about me. I was more of a token for her until it wasn't useful or needed anymore. Man. And here I was really vibing with this friendship between the three of you. Like, wow, work friends that are close and friends outside of work. That's so special when you have work friends that also become friends outside of work, you know? Yeah, that didn't last very long. Probably for the best though, right? You want people who are genuine and who are supportive, and I wouldn't want to be walking on eggshells all the time around my friend's partner. That's never fun. Well, I think it's obvious to say that invite we are quite literally returning to sender because that's what he did essentially. So really nothing to debate here. Next story. I can't believe how entitled some people are when it comes to other people's weddings. We aren't going to change our wedding. I'm not looking for advice. I'm just venting. We are going to have a 10 to 15 minute ceremony at sunset. Afterwards, we'll have dinner and a reception. The two of us plan to take most of our photos before the ceremony. Only a few with our families will be needed after the ceremony. Additionally, all guests must be above the drinking age, so no one under the age of 18 is allowed inside. This is the policy of the venue, not ours. I would like to think we are being reasonable to our guests. The ceremony and reception will be 4 to 4.5 hours long. If any guests want to leave earlier, it's not a problem. We'll be providing transportation to and from the venue for anyone who wants it. The wedding will be on a Saturday, so no one we're inviting will need to take time away from their jobs. The wedding is local and all of the people we're inviting live here. No one has to travel or pay for a hotel. None of our guests will have to pay for their food, drinks, or transportation. And we have told everyone we don't expect gifts. There is no pressure for that. And of course, we obviously can't force anyone to attend. If anyone declines our invitation, we won't bother them about it. The two of us are paying for our entire wedding ourselves, but everyone seems to think that we want their opinion. The biggest complaints are about children not being invited because of the age policy of the venue. So many people are upset and say we need to get married somewhere else so that their babies and kids can come. Other people say the wedding is too formal and they don't want to dress up or have a more formal dinner like what the venue offers. The two of us would never tell anyone what to wear, but people are reacting to the venue because it is more of an upscale place. Also, many of the same people who are complaining about children not being invited say our wedding is too formal or too late in the day. They want us to move the time and have a less formal atmosphere. We've had people, mainly both sets of our parents, offer to pay for the wedding so that they can change the things they want to. It is not just one person complaining, it is several, including some of our siblings. All of it is maddening. We have told them all we are not changing our wedding. We don't want to elope, so please don't suggest it or give any advice. We were clear that if anyone doesn't like what we're doing for the ceremony or reception, they can decline our invitation. Y'all, I am so on board with you for this. I just can't believe how entitled some people are. I would die of embarrassment if I ever tried to tell someone that they had to change their wedding to what I wanted instead. Yeah, you guys, I have already received. I'm not even wedding planning, okay? We are not planning at all. Of course, we talk about maybe some do's and don'ts that we vibe with or we don't. And when I've mentioned them, it's always met with, oh, I wouldn't do that. Perfect. That's why it's my decision. Like, it's so crazy how people always got a say. They like have a say of what they think your wedding day should be. It's mind-boggling. I'm always met with that. I didn't think our wedding would be so controversial, but here we are. I'm just here to vent about how entitled some people are. It's our wedding. If we want to have a formal wedding at sunset, that's what we will do. There is nothing wrong with a couple having the wedding they want if they are paying for it. People have some nerve telling others to change their wedding. I just needed to get that off my chest. But we have an update, so it must not have stopped there. I'm curious to know if a bunch of people ended up declining your wedding invitation because it didn't match what they wanted for the day. All right, so the update came 7 months later. My wife and I didn't budge and we had the wedding we wanted. I couldn't believe that anyone would get so angry about someone else's wedding. It wasn't just one person, but a handful of people. There were a lot of complaints and my wife and I were surprised at how entitled some people were being. We just got back from our honeymoon and some people are still upset with us. We ignored anyone who complained or decided not to come to our wedding, but we are both glad we didn't cave to the pressure and we kept things the way we wanted. It was the perfect day and we have no regrets. We had our ceremony at sunset. It took less than 15 minutes. Then we had our dinner and a short reception. Our entire wedding lasted 4.5 hours. We got married locally, so no one had to pay for flights or hotels. We hired a taxi service to provide free transportation to and from the wedding for anyone who wanted it. We had an open bar and free food. My wife and I had nearly all our photos taken before the ceremony, so we only needed to take a couple of photos with our families, and there wasn't a delay between the ceremony and dinner. We told our family and friends we didn't want gifts, we didn't pressure anyone to attend. We thought we were being relaxed about things, but it wasn't enough for some people. The complaints were related to the venue having a policy for the drinking age, the venue being upscale and formal, and the wedding being so late in the day. People were upset they couldn't bring their children. People were upset they had to dress formally. People thought the late time and formal dinner were not child friendly. Exactly, because there's no children. We had so much pressure to get married somewhere else or to have the wedding earlier in the day. I still cannot understand how entitled people were about our wedding. I'm only realizing this now ever since getting engaged and having conversations. It's crazy. I say you send the invite. Send the invites like you did. And yeah, if people want to return to sender, no problem. I'm still gonna be at my wedding. I'm still gonna enjoy my day. Whether you wanna come or not, that's on you. Send the invite and do your wedding. I'm glad you stuck to your guns on that, truly. I certainly will be doing the same. All aboard the hydration station. I'm hydrating with some peppermint tea. Let me know what you are hydrating with. I only have a few sips left. Not very fun, but yummy. Cheers. You guys, I gave myself a new set of nails. These are done by me. I haven't cleaned them up yet, so kind of ignore. They're not the cleanest because I just did them, but they were inspired by the studio colors. Whee! How fun. Next story, my husband's friend made me uncomfortable at our wedding. Oh, I'm scared. What'd they do? Last weekend, my husband, 27 male, and I, 30 female, got married. It was a great wedding and I had a great time leading up to it. There has been only one thing that has left a sour taste in my mouth. Growing up, I always wanted a big princess wedding. I know some people see those as tacky and immature, but it was always my dream. As part of this, the theme for our wedding was ballroom, and I told everyone to wear the nicest things they owned and told the women in particular to try to outshine me. I even went as far as telling the married women to wear their wedding dresses. Okay, that's so fun. Having a bunch of other girls show up in their wedding dresses. I would love that. How fun. It's like that one scene from Friends when they all just hang out on the couch in a wedding dress. I did not care about being outdressed. Instead, all I wanted was to fulfill the aesthetic in my head that I had for the wedding, which included everyone else looking nothing less than extravagant. And no, before people ask, I don't regret my decision. It was really special to see my mom, aunts, and bridesmaids all in their own dresses on the big day. It kind of felt like they were passing the torch on to me, and I really enjoyed the experience. I've never heard of that before. Crazy. Now on to my husband's friend. My husband has this friend who I will call Kate, 27 female. Kate is my husband's childhood friend and first love. My husband comes from a small town and the majority of his friends he has known since adolescence. In their senior year of high school, Kate and my husband got engaged, which is kind of normal where they're from. High school? Oh, thank God I didn't do that. But called off the wedding and never went through with it. It was mutual. They felt like they were growing up too fast and they wanted to slow down. The calling off the wedding was the end of the relationship, but they stayed friends. I knew this information prior to getting with my husband, and I never had a problem or felt jealous because I'm friends with a few of my exes myself. In fact, 2 of them were invited to our wedding. One was my bridesmaid, I'm bisexual, and the other was invited as a guest along with his current girlfriend. I've never had a problem with Kate being my husband's ex, but I have had a problem with Kate as a person, as she's kind of, can't say the word, but biatchy and gossips like she is still in high school. A few examples of this are just a month into our relationship, she confessed to my husband she still had some lingering feelings, to which he responded they have already tried and that it didn't work. If she brought it up again, he would cut her off out of respect for me. I wasn't that mad at the time because I understood they had a long history and my relationship with him was just starting out, and she owed it to herself to see if there was anything still there before it was too late. You are stronger than I. However, after she was turned down, her attitude towards me changed to a fake nice and started calling me things like cougar or asking me how I expected to make a relationship work, as I want to be an anesthesiologist, which would require long hours, or telling my husband's friend group how she doesn't like my loud personality. And when I confronted her about all those things, she would say, "Oh, it was just a joke," or "You're so loud, I felt like you would just go off on me." There's more stuff, but if I typed it all, I would never get to the point. Kate has her own husband, who I will call Gerald. Kate and Gerald both make average in terms of finances, as they are both teachers. Kate, kindergarten, and Gerald, seniors. They got married last year. On a teacher's salary, Kate wasn't able to afford the most luxurious wedding dress out there, but I always had the impression that she was happy with it. Kate does have another wedding dress from when she was going to marry my husband that her dad paid for, who has unfortunately passed away, which in terms of fanciness is a bit nicer, but obviously she didn't wear that dress to her own wedding. I was expecting Kate to wear the wedding dress she wore to her own wedding, but when I looked and I saw her, she had the wedding dress that she was supposed to wear when she was getting married to my husband. What a wild, full circle moment that is. When I saw her, I immediately went WTF, but I decided to just drop it because I didn't want a conflict on my wedding day. My husband, however, was also confused on why she wore that one and asked her about it without me even having to tell him that I was uncomfortable. Well, surely it must be a little uncomfortable for him as well. He was the one supposed to marry her. She responded, "Well, your wife wanted such a big princess wedding. I thought I'd wear this one because it follows the theme more. Don't tell me she's upset about it. She's the one who said, "Come in your nicest clothes, and this is my nicest dress." I feel like I'm not allowed to be upset, even though I am, and I know this is my fault, but the whole thing has really left a bad taste in my mouth. I would have never been okay with her wearing that one if I had known she was going to, and I feel like she should have asked. I'm not surprised she didn't ask. I'm not surprised at all. Based on how you said some of the comments she makes, she also admitted to having feelings when you got with him. Of course she wasn't going to ask. We do have an update though. I'm curious. Hello guys, here's the update. So I talked to my husband about it this morning, and when I brought it up, he immediately let out a sigh of relief. He said, "I didn't know how to bring it up because you didn't seem bothered, but when I saw her in that dress, I thought it was very weird that she wore that one." He went on to say that he even considered asking her to leave because he thought it was rude, but because I had no reaction to the dress, he thought I either didn't care or didn't recognize it. But either way, if I wasn't bothered, he did not want to disturb my peace by kicking her out. We discussed, and he is going to have a talk with her, not just about the dress, but her treatment of me in general, and explain that going forward, she will not be a friend in our lives. After this talk, I've decided to let it go and just focus on my new marriage. This was a small thing, and now, after I've talked it out with my husband, I kind of feel silly that I let it bother me this much. I'm at peace that she will no longer be in our lives, and that's enough for me. Someone said that you gave her the chance to wear the dress her dad got her and gave her as a gift. That was kind of a moment for me, because no matter what her intentions were, that is true, and I am glad that she got to have that moment. I just gotta say, you seem like a well-rounded gal. You've got a very mature way of processing things. And maybe that's just a factor of how I would have reacted and processed things. Let me know your thoughts on this one, you guys. Invite or return to sender? I don't know. Based on some of all the other things, the way she treats you, the way she still had feelings for him, I was a little iffy on the invite in the first place, to be honest, but that's your business. I personally may not have invited her, but that was your decision. You guys did. You felt like you were in a good enough friendship to do that. But afterwards, I don't know. Ooh, I'm torn. I'm gonna just keep both on the screen so that we can decide together in the comments. I don't really know how I feel about this because I'm thinking about how I would react. Let's talk about it. See you guys later. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.